Good morning, YouTube. I don't think I've ever said this before, but there's more bad news for Cybertruck owners.
What in the world?
No, more. There's been 5 recalls.
Really?
Several
There's been
different
5
issues.
recalls?
There's a video of a Tesla Model X, in the floodwaters of the hurricane, just combusting once it hit salt water, the batteries, and burning someone's house down.
Oh, by the ocean.
Yes,
got it.
Some
issues, some problems.
It's a low-hanging fruit that we grab, twice a month we like to grab,
Perhaps
Tesla.
You may or may not get excited when that happens. It's weird because there's not a lot of Cybertrucks on the road, and there's a lot of issues.
So the latest low-hanging grabbing fruit of Cybertruck news is Geico has been randomly canceling Cybertruck owners' policies, sending them an email saying it doesn't meet their underwriter guidelines for personal insurance policies. They don't really explain why.
Yeah.
They just leave people out there to guess.
I feel like underwriter isn't a real thing. It's just like their marketing team saying, or like their business team, and we're like, we're going to lose money on this, and like it's a fake actual department.
Yeah, it might be they're realizing that people who own Cybertrucks tend to do silly things, and then they're driving a very dangerous vehicle that's not easy to repair.
Right.
So they get in an accident. They're probably going to kill whatever they hit, and then the car is not going to be repairable because Teslas are notorious for this, and the Cybertrucks, very odd, long wait for parts and things. But Geico has put out and said, hey, no, we're not actually doing this. We're not dropping all insurance for Cybertrucks, but then they don't explain why they're dropping some, and people are on the Tesla forums are all mad about their Cybertrucks getting dropped. One person said they have 8 or 9 cars insured with Geico, a whole fleet, and it's just that one that got canceled.
Interesting. Very interesting. I think it's kind of like, I get it, because they are very dangerous, and they just burst into flames.
Well, I mean, I don't know about they just burst into flames. Something has to happen.
They spontaneously combust.
It's a complicated thing, but yeah, I can understand why I would be scared to insure one of them. Sort of like the Hummers back in the day. I feel like because
was insurance dropping Hummers?
Well, Hummers were high to insure vehicles, and I remember at one point they were the most repossessed vehicle in the U.S. at one point. This is a long time ago, over 10 years ago. Once again, it's the type of buyer that flocked to Hummer, that bought them as they were going out of business and the bankruptcy and the prices tanked and all that stuff. Not saying Tesla's tanking as far as it's going bankrupt, but the prices on the Cybertruck. Meanwhile, mine's still for sale. The one I sold to the Chevrolet dealer on the west side, it is for sale, and they are at $106,995 last I checked.
They're doing that on purpose. They want to keep it on the lot. I sold them for $111.
Right. So, there's always a little bit of fiddling there, but I know I bought the Lyric way back from what they had in it, because they had it for over 6 months, and the way that those had dropped like a rock. So people are saying, well, they showed you on 11, but really they just beat you up. So they made more on the car to show you more on the trade, which is something that dealers will do. If you pay full sticker for something and then they show you a lot on your trade, that's one way for them to negotiate to make you feel good.
Right.
But I think I got the Lyric for less than what they had into it, and they're hoping to make it up on the Cybertruck, which they haven't. So it is still for sale.
What would you list it at today?
Well, there's the most recent sold price on Cars and Bids, $87,000 for a Cybertruck.
Below MSRP?
MSRP was 102.
Right.
92. Ooh. So now we're 15,000 back of MSRP. And a lot of that has to do with they are taking orders now for the non-foundation, the non-launch Cybertruck. And with the rebate from the government, it is $79,900.
Okay.
And you can get one supposedly before the end of the year. So they're running through everybody now. They're running through all the people that have a deposit that can actually buy it. Now it's the cheaper Cybertruck, and they'll run through those people. And then, I don't know what they'll do. They'll do a cheap rear-wheel drive one for $60,000. And we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see if they can keep making Cybertrucks at the volume that they are right now.
I still think they're really cool. I know we kind of talk about them and kind of a not so cool, but like they're fun, they're cool. Even right now when you see them on the road, everyone's pointing at them like they're interesting.
Right. Well, Fisker went bankrupt. They were working on a truck themselves, but it all went away before they launched the Ocean, and it was a disaster, reliability, everything. It was a cool design, but just a total disaster, like the Karma that I have in the garage over there that I can't figure out how to get the blower to work. So,
The ocean's still cool, though.
The ocean is still cool. I know our friend Rich, Uncle Rich, who sat down for an interview, he bought one, was able to fix it, so he's enjoying his. But Fisker, they had a headquarters in their bankruptcy. They just abandoned it. They sold off their excess inventory, well, in the bankruptcy to an outfit. But there's a little confusion right now because their headquarters was just abandoned. They didn't own it, they rented it, but they just left it absolutely trashed. You can look at the photos. There's a clay mock-up of a Fisker truck just sitting in there. And a bunch of junk, supposedly some hazardous waste.
Right.
It's like they picked up and left and just made a huge mess on the way out. Sort of like what a crappy tenant would do to a slumlord, you know, and put holes in the walls and just leave all their trash and everything.
Yeah. That's interesting that it did that. And then they wouldn't want to just collect all their materials and
See, so there's like a skeleton for some kind of, I don't know, mock-up there, some seats. Lots of stuff just left behind.
Looks like there could be like proprietary secrets there going on, and they're just abandoned.
Doesn't matter since the company's bankrupt.
Right.
So that's kind of weird to see. But one cool thing to see with electric pickup trucks, there is the Rivian R1T that was out long before the Cybertruck. Elon promised that the Cybertruck would be able to swim.
Right.
And he would enable like an upgrade to the door seals to where the thing could like float in water and for short periods like be a boat.
Right.
Well, Rivian didn't advertise this, but apparently it is.
Yes.
So in Hurricane Helene, somebody parked their Rivian R1T in the U-Haul parking lot in Asheville, North Carolina, where they had all the rain.
Right.
He said it was the absolute worst spot to put it.
Yep.
And when he was able to come back to see where it was not where he parked it. It had floated like 100 yards away and was in a totally different spot, obviously caked with mud.
Do cars float? Cars don't.
Cars will float for a short period and then they sink.
Right.
This one, it just stayed floating apparently, but it was caked in mud. There was just mud all over everywhere. Obviously, the water line was way up, and it didn't get in the cabin.
What? No chance. There's
walked
no
up to
chance
it.
there's no water in that cabin.
Even crazier, he walked up to it. It started up. It operated. It drives like a normal car.
This is the best free advertising for Rivian ever.
It's insane. You look at the video where, look at it. It's just completely caked, like it got, slammed up against a mud bog. And since it was an obstacle, it just kept having buildup around it. And he's driving it around. So he's going to have to turn it into his insurance because obviously it's been in a flood and it'll probably be totaled out. But the darn thing it's working. He's able to get around and do things right now while that all gets figured out.
You still think it'll be totaled out?
Oh, absolutely. You would want to turn it in because there's got to be some water intrusion, some things. I mean, it was in a massive flood and floated basically in a river that went out of its bounds and into a city.
It's wild for an electric car to be in a flood, floating away in a body of water, and then still start up. That's unheard of. Any electronics, like you drop your phone in water for half a second and you're like, oh no, it's done. It's toast right now. Clearly, but not for Rivian.
Not for Rivian. Clearly they over-engineered the thing because they were worried about water intrusion just in normal use, messing up the electronics, messing up the batteries. But clearly the engineers did a very, very good job. Very good job. Meanwhile, the Cybertruck, the tonneau cover, I had something in the back and forgot about it. Went through the car wash. It soaked it. The big vault, the vault thing. I was so mad at myself for that.
It's wild because this is kind of their first generation testing out these trucks to see if you're gonna think there's gonna be bugs and issues, and really that is very impressive for basically a brand new car company to have something like this going on.
Yeah, it makes me want to shop for a used Rivian for sure.
You want this one before Tavares gets his hands on it.
That's right. I do need to reach out to the person because it's the invincible Rivian.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching.
The McLaren F1 regarded to be the best supercar of all time, designed by Gordon.
Ow! God, I thought I could spin all the way around.
Mistakes were made.
Good morning, YouTube.